Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo, know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So we do look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play as karmic themes to see why is your person's doing what they're doing. Why is their energy still attached to you if they're not even talking to you? And you don't even want to talk to them. So why are you holding on to the energy? There's whether you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship, understanding why everybody's doing what they're doing, including yourself, is very important. Because once you understand why you're doing what you're doing, you're able to see where the imbalances are, how you're contributing to the imbalances within the connection, and what you got to do to shape shift the energy. Because there's many different realities that play out at one time. So why would you want to be connected to a person that keeps you stuck in a place of feeling insecure, feeling not enough, not good enough, not having enough, which a lot of times when we're connected to karmics, they don't give enough energy. They don't give enough time because a lot of times they're emotionally not available. They're too immature. But understanding again how we contribute to the whole dynamic is imperative, not just to balancing out the connection, because sometimes you really can balance out the connection, but sometimes you can't. And if you can't, you don't want negative karmic consequences. Karmic consequences are, again, when we wind up with someone that keeps us bound to the way that we felt in childhood. Like if you were raised by an abusive parent, if you had a parent that just was emotionally unavailable, again, what you'll see is, again, the same karmic themes play out. And that's because there is detachment, disassociation, which means that there's fragmentation where you have detached. So parts of ourselves that we feel that are wounded, and we feel that they're wounded because our life isn't working properly in that particular area. We tend to disassociate from, detach from after a while because there's a lot of emotion to feeling like your life isn't working. You know what I mean? It feels hard when your life isn't working. Like if you're not making any money and then you're watching your bills come in, right? It's like it doesn't give you a good feeling because you know you don't have the funds to cover it. Well, being in a relationship with someone that's a toxic person, you know that the relationship is a toxic one because you know how the person is making you feel, and by the words that they use and by the things that they do. So logically, we should be able to just change. But that's not all the case. We have to understand. Sometimes the habits and the behaviorisms that we adapted to in childhood for our survival or adapted to in a negative, toxic connection. But if we leave that connection, that toxic connection, and we still have all the habits and behaviorisms that we needed to survive and navigate the relationship, where we're going to create the same thing. Or we're going to attract the same person if we didn't, type of person, not the same person, but the same type of person that has the same habits and behaviorism. So, in order to stop the karmic looping, we want to literally be like, okay, listen, how am I contributing to this imbalance? Because you're not going to have a way to control that person, right? I mean, if you had a way to control the person, your person would be doing what you wanted them to do. So the whole point is you can actually shape shift the energy and quantum jump into a reality that you actually want to experience instead of the experience that you're experiencing. The reason why we tend to not is because we're blocked. We can't see out of our third eye. And that is usually because we are not grounded and we're not listening to spirit and we're not interactive enough in life. And there's reasons why. So Obviously, the readings have a therapy style to them. You kind of could figure that out by now if you're new to the channel. And also know that anything of any relevance or importance to the channel is going to be in that description box below. All right. If you like the video, give me a like, share, subscribe. It's all good karma. I need that. I need it. I need it. I'm on medication now because I'm sick, antibiotic, prednisone, because my overactive immune system, which happens from sensitivity, well, when I just get a little cold, it goes right into my chest. It likes to go into asthmatic bronchitis. So if I don't catch it fast with antibiotics and steroids, I'll be in the hospital. Because when I grew up in an environment that it was survival mode. My mother was that toxic person for me. She was someone that was extremely abusive, and that's because she was abused, and my grandfather was abused, but he also fought in the war. So there's reasons why people form the habits and behaviorisms, not just because one day they just decided to be, imbalanced. No one chooses because hurt people, but remember, the hurt people have been walking around with that energy for a long time. And what happens is they just project. They project. It's the way that the spirit wants to clear. But there's physical issues that happen when we're spiritually out of balance. I know I have them. So that's why I dedicate my channels to healing the effects of trauma. So that's why I wasn't on yesterday, by the way. And that's why I'm a little nervous today because of the prednisone. It's like, thank God I don't need to be on it as often as I used to. I was uh, I was someone that was a chronic smoker on top of it. And when I say chronic smoker, it's like I wound up pretty much like I was addicted to smoking, but I would have to go in for IVs to keep my lungs open. It didn't make any sense. But again, trauma responses don't make sense. That's why I created these channels, you know, because the, the reaction to why things happen really can keep us stuck and make us perceive things in a very imbalanced way. We perceive ourselves like wrong, and we perceive the world around us wrong. And when I say wrong, imbalanced. And then we're forming habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with those imbalances. So we always have to be in a place of balance in order to see what's not balanced. And that doesn't happen when you live in an environment that's imbalanced. It just doesn't because you've conditioned yourself to see what you look for. All right, let's see what the underlining word of the video is. It's always on the first and second card that I pull out is the underlining energy that tells us why everybody does what they do. It's important because, again, people that detach and disassociate, well, they wear a mask. And we're going to start off using my deck, the Psychic Soul Healer Oracle System. 68 cards in the deck, titled under Transpersonal Psychology. See that? Beautiful, beautiful cards. Promethean Fire, that's a hot card. Why is it a hot card? Because it stirs up all the emotions and the passions and the fire. And it's what allows us to manifest when it's channeled properly. But you can see the words are all based detachment psychology words. All right. So let's see what the word of the video is. The word of the video is tacklessness. And you know what I felt? I felt like it was detachment, but that was the card at the bottom of the deck. But the word is tacklessness. And we're going to pull another card from another deck just to give a different, to go a little bit deeper. But we already know that that's going to be a past life karmic meet, right? That your connection is a past life karmic mate because of the behavior. If it was a twin flame, that means that they would be, this card doesn't go in there, that it would mean that your person was ready to step it up into like when a person's ready to step it up into twin flame level, it means that they're stepping into the best energy. So dealing with a masculine energy that's tactlessness, you're going to see them not be avoidant. You're not going to see them be immature. You're not going to see them. I mean, this is player energy right there, and also behaviors like, I don't care about what you feel. Like I'm deliberately going out of my way to hurt you. And it's because the energy of that person, is not healed. They need healing. So that's how like a twin flame is someone, it's not that they're not a past life karmic mate. The difference is they're ready to step it up. They're ready to say, I'm ready to step it up into my divine being. So I'm gonna evolve all my character traits so that they are derived from unconditional love. Because unconditional love is the energy that we're made up of. It's the energy of God, source, the universe, and it's our connection to each other. So when we're in alignment with the laws of God, the laws of love, the laws of nature, and the laws of the universe, it means that we're embodying the energy of unconditional love, which is the energy of God. That's how we know. Now, this energy is not that. That's the opposite energy. But we don't know anything yet until we pull the other card, right? But let's see, what is it? It's blame. It's blame. So you know already that you're in a connection with someone that now they think that it's your fault that you guys are not talking. This person doesn't want to see what they did. They don't want to look at their behavior. There's someone that's of a low vibration, and what I feel like you detached from them because they came in and they were detached from you, meaning they weren't really building an emotional connection to you. And the thing is, I feel like you detach from this person, and this person, because they didn't get over on you, they couldn't hurt you, they couldn't sabotage your life. Well, they're not happy because you look a little too happy now. That's the energy that I'm feeling. And the reason why is because this person blames you. They're like, well, you said something. And because you said something, then I reacted to it, and then you didn't talk to me, but now I've been trying to talk to you. But this person never came back with an apology. And they're just mad because, like I said, you're a little too happy. You disconnected from them without any pain. Now you're laughing at them. That's the way that they think because they think that you act the way that they act. You don't act anything the way that they act. You're in a higher vibration. They are not. Again, this person just created a lot of illusions. You were like, I was living under the illusion that this was going to be a good relationship. Like they came on, like they wanted this relationship, but you felt like you let yourself down because you're like, I trusted this person. So, and you trusted them because they sold you. They felt out what you wanted, what you needed. Now, this is a mistake a lot of times. We want to treat people the way that we want to be treated. And so, if your cup is empty, you're going to want to pour so much into yourself. No, you're going to want to pour so much into the other person, right? Because you're depleted and you're like, I want to treat you the way that I want to be treated. So if I'm this way to you, this is the way that you will be to me because that's what we're taught. No, not with this person. This person read exactly what you did. You were nice, you were loving, you were poor, and this person was like, oh, you must like want to be in a relationship and think that I'm such a good catch. Such a good catch. I don't really have to give you the time. I don't really have to nurture this connection. I'll breadcrumb you. I'll say all the right words. I'll create the illusions like I'm here. like I'm serious about this connection, but I'm not. And so what it is like it's not like you didn't tell this person. You tried to create boundaries. You said, I don't want to even start a relationship unless it's going to be monogamous. And so you were telling this person, and this is why you feel betrayed, because you're like, I told this person what I wanted, what I didn't want, what I think was acceptable. I was transparent. They were not. And that's why they're attacking, because they crossed your boundaries and they were seriously crossed, meaning that this person lied, they dated other people, they were talking about you, they didn't really care how they treated you because this person's all about themselves. Lies. And you just felt like, that's what I said. They lied. They told you that they really wanted to be in a relationship. They future faked, you know, told you a pipe dream. And they what they would do is they would say something and then they would watch you to see what your reaction was. So this person might have offered to take you away on vacation because, hey, they knew that you're going out with all your friends. They know that people ask you, they know that you're a good catch. But they're like, yeah, we should go away on vacation. And depending on what you said, well, and you were like, yeah, that would be a great idea, or I would love to do that because, hey, that's what a normal fucking person does when they're in a relationship. However, this person's not normal. They're a low vibration. They listen to everything that you say and they dissect it. And then they strategize to get what they want. And that's why they're tacky because they don't care, and so what you felt like your life was upside down. You're like, you didn't know whether you were coming or going or just met yourself on the way back. That's what it felt like. And the reason why was because you felt like you were stuck in an endless cycle that just kept repeating it because you were in a karmic loop. This person didn't have any intention on changing. They didn't want to change, and that's the thing. That's how you know that they were in a twin flame. That's how you know, because they didn't want to step it up. They might have come across as if they were perfect and make you perceive that they were. But people that come across like they're perfect, well, you know that they're not. Hey, listen, if you check in on people every day, and sometimes you see they look great, everything is in place, and they're like, and other times they show up looking like a rag. That's real. Sometimes they're in a great mood, and sometimes they're not in a great mood. Every time you hung out with this person, they were in a great mood in the beginning of the relationship, all passionate, all love bombing, all this, and then they go to the extreme. Then you see exactly who they are. Where a person that doesn't try to be perfect, you see their flaws. And you see their flaws right away. And you know why? Because the person doesn't feel the need to be perfect. They realize that you're never going to achieve that. You're never going to succeed in being perfect. Only God is perfect. We shoot for excellence around here. That's what we do. How good is the work? How nice is the person? We try to look at the internal things. This person, again, on the outside, the illusions. Oh, yeah, they had a good car, they had a nice house, they had money, or they had possessions that made you perceive, but it was all that so that they could be the authority, that they could be the figure, the one that's important. And you kind of liked that. You wanted that. You were like, but this person only wanted it so that they could control. They weren't balanced. That's what this person, again, first of all, they don't have as much as they claim to have. And they're not as secure because they wouldn't keep you in a place of disempowerment, right? People that make themselves like they're the victim because you said something, when really they're victimizing you because they want you to conform, because they're really intimidated. Because again, every time you get stressed out by their negative behavior, they see it as criticism and they already have a lot of burdens from past relationships. So this person doesn't feel good about themselves. And when a person perceives that they are better than who they are, they also tend to want to trigger you to get jealous because, again, this person is not as secure as they come across. Again, they sold you a pipe dream. And so, again, their way in being able to see whether or not you really care about them is you have to fight for the connection. You have to prove it to them. And it's because they're insecure. It's not, it's they have family patterns and the burdens from the past, and there's money issues again, but again, the parent thing is coming up again. So this person left their home of growing up with these with these patterns, this toxic behavior of just really old habits. They need new habits, but they're old habits of manipulation. So you don't trust them. So again, this person saw you as rejecting them every time you would, say something, because you'd have some judgment about their behavior because their words and their actions were in alignment, And so what did this person do? They do what they do best. They have addictions. They escape, they avoid. So they never really heal. This is why they're still walking around with these old habits. It's again all inherited from their family. It's all inherited, meaning these habits were created in childhood. Again, where the person had parents that criticized them, didn't make them feel good, didn't make them feel. And so this person doesn't really try, because they feel inadequate. And because they feel inadequate, they don't really say anything. And what you'll see is they're really lazy. You're going to see a root chakra imbalance, like just really lazy. And it's because this person's not happy. So they try to make themselves happy by escaping through drugs or addiction and whatever. They're not showing you that. Again, they're doing it on the DL, but this person has a lot of anger inside of them, and because they've never healed. When you don't heal, well, what's supposed to be in that place that you're holding anger, resentment, jealousy, and all these other things that you got to project out onto other people? Because again, the spirit is God. There's a God part of self, and that's the spirit, the higher self, right? Man is made up of half dust, half deity, like I said earlier. So that energy of God will, like, it's like knows that that shouldn't be on there. So, meaning the answers are always inside of us. We've heard that before. Well, again, that's the higher self. The higher self knows that that shit shouldn't be on. So, that this person's actually sleepwalking, and they're sleepwalking because, again, they're stuck in anger, they're stuck in the past, and in order to deal with it, they suppress their energy. Not because, like, I mean, yes, it's an addiction now, but when a person has a lot of childhood trauma where they've formed addictions to escape, well, like I said, it's a real root chakra imbalance. What you see then is the person may be really calm on the outside, but on the inside, their adrenals are going, they're very hyper, they're moody, they're imbalanced, like I said earlier, because of that. So everything's a trigger. They're going to project everything. And what they're going to do too is they're going to put themselves in competition with you. And it's just because there's nothing there. Where there's supposed to be, man's made up of half dust, half deity, that deity part of self is supposed to be able to help us co-create our own heaven on earth, to be able to actually create the life and the life experiences that we want. But if we're walking around asleep because we are detached and disassociated and suppressing our emotions through addictions, well, this person is like anything that you do, that you do for yourself and they're seeing that you're getting attention, well, that person wants that too. They're cut off from love. They detach themselves from love because their energy is really just love. We're born into families and societies where we, form that karma. So when we have that karma, it's the behaviorism. This person sees everything through a distorted filter. And so their actions are in that, and they're not happy because no one wants to be their trauma. No one wants to be, hear the echoes of their parents that were imbalanced, obviously, to create this much family patterns to the point that this person can't be really in a relationship and they're walking around with lack. So what we see here is a real root chakra imbalance. They don't have money and they're not in a good relationship. So you're going to see a lot of sabotaging behaviorisms because this person's cut themselves off from love. They don't really believe that they're deserving of love. So of course, if you're in a high vibration and you're doing things and you're creating this energy where people are being drawn to you and you're in a high vibration, they're going to want to take it. They're going to put themselves in competition. Misery loves company. Hurt people hurt people. We know this. This is what makes a past life karmic mate exactly that and not a twin flame. That's how you know. You know by the trauma that's not healed. It's just that simple. It's always going to lead to betrayal. It's always going to lead to betrayal. And that's going to trigger you. It's going to trigger you because you're going to say, what, am I not enough? Am I not good enough? Like, who the fuck are you? I was given everything. I was the good one. You were the one that wasn't. Yeah, well, meanwhile, this person's projecting. I told you. They're asleep. As long as they are going to stay in those bad habits and not create new habits, they're going to stay asleep. It's a way that they learned how to deal. It's a way that they learned how to deal with everything, is what you know. So look, what you see here, like already, you just see that it's a hard climb, and this person thinks that life is just too hard. Like it's just too many issues for them to deal with and difficult conversations. So it's a major struggle, and that's the problem because they're looking at like, oh, everything's a problem. Again, this is what's exhausting them. It's that they're looking at their trauma, they've lived their trauma, they have burdens, they pretend to be perfect on the outside, and they're like, I can't be me. I can't fix this. It's too much. Root chakra imbalance, lazy, the adrenal glands. What did I tell you? The person's stuck in fight, flight, freeze. Oh, on the outside, they're looking mighty fine because they learned how to wear that mask well. They learned. But the underlining energy is, we know what it was. It was a very ugly energy. But I can't like it was a maliciousness, I think. Um, it was, and the other one was detachment. I mean, listen, nothing but disrespect. That's what it is. That's what'll always lead to disrespect because the person wears a mask. They just again want you to perceive something, so they know how to come into the life and want you to get caught up in the drama because that's what this person creates. Why? Because it's an addiction. The adrenals fight, flight, freeze. So it actually over time feels a lot more comfortable to be in that addictive, trauma, chaotic energy because that's what they grew up in. And they were raised to believe that there was something wrong with them, and they've been in this energy for a long time. Now, this is where energy healing would come into place. This is when you're going to see a disconnect from the body and mind. So the person is like they're detached and they're disassociated, and they've been living like this for so long that they have mastered the mask. But if you're friends with them for long periods of time, or you wouldn't be because they can't hold on to a friendship. But if you knew this person and you were close, like to the family, and you knew this person, you would see their life look like a roller coaster. So they don't trust themselves anymore. And when I say that, it's like they might get a job and get a girl or a boy. And again, life looks to be really good. And then what happens is it's good. And then they're like, this is boring. And then they do the nosedive. And then there's consequences, for that behavior. So this is what we're talking about when we're stuck in a karmic loop. This person like does that. So they don't trust themselves anymore. It's like it's too difficult, too much of a hard climb, and too many problems to deal with. It's like because they're looking back on their entire life and they are not like 10 years old. They're like, a lot older now. So, and they don't really know how they're going to fix it. So it's almost like they need to take the time, need to take the time out to be on their own. That's what they need to do. I feel like this is where you are. You're like after that situation, and it was because, listen, you read between the lines. This person continually checks out. They have addiction problems. So the best love that it would be is just to to we break up to make up. We never really are in a relationship. It's all about trying to get into the relationship. It's all about that. I know this person loves me. I can care. I feel that they love me. I can feel that energetic connection. And there is one because there a past life, but you're not taking into consideration that they just have past trauma that have left scars and that they need to take the time to heal themselves of the broken pieces. Otherwise, there will never be strong roots. They will never be. So you'll always be that person's secret desire. It's not that. It's just this person, like if you're going to be in a relationship, you have to look beyond the romance and not be in a fog. And I feel like this person has love blocks, and until again they heal them, the relationship is going to be turbulent because it's not that they don't want to be in the relationship. It's that they are so toxic from needing that healing that the relationship will never do well. It'll do well for a limited amount of time, like a roller coaster, the anticipation. And let me tell you something, the whole time that you're growing and you're exciting and good things are going to happen, it's not that they're not. You're in the back of your mind, you're feeling like, when is that shoe going to drop? Because that's this person. It's again, the shoe's gonna drop because of this energy. It's that they're mean. So again, that they saw you as like this person, and now you're not talking to them, and now they're so hurt because there's consequences, and they were just taught, hey, we do things that are wrong. We do things that are wrong in relationships and it doesn't matter. Like, and we're always expected to forgive. And that happens in those family, family patterns. When you look and see how your parents speak to each other, how they treat each other. This person grew up in a very toxic environment. They watched that parent probably cheat, have addictions, and everyone would act like nothing went down the next day. It didn't matter what the behavior was. Very codependent energy. So this person does not feel safe because at a very young age, they not only lived around that, but they caught the abuse of that. And watching a mother or father go through that, because again, they were connected to it was a very toxic connection. And we know there's always one avoidant and one, anxious person that was abandoned. So that's the karmic theme that plays out. So this person is reliving that. It's like they're living their family patterns, these old patterns that just need to be healed. Because it always winds up in a karmic contract. And so it's not like this person doesn't meet past lives. You're a past life karmic mate. They have an opportunity to step it up. That's why the universe does that, brings people together. And so, doesn't necessarily mean you'll be with this person. You're going to be the best candidate to help heal this person, and spirit would bring that. And that might mean that the relationship doesn't go anywhere ever because you're just like, no, like I see that you're not possible. And this person then would strive to be a better person because love makes us do crazy ass things that we wouldn't normally do, you know? But it would almost be like this person got tricked into healing, or they can stay in their negative patterns. And what we saw is that they stayed in the negative pattern because, again, the karmic contract is what's normal for this person, which means living that same pattern that they grew up in, which is they're going to have the addictions, they're going to cheat, they're going to again have all these things, toxic behavior, and expect you to fix it, to you to be the nice person and pretend that that's not happening. So 2 days later, a week later, a month later, they can come back and you're just supposed to be nice. And being that you're not nice, well, now this person's all butthurt. And it's like, that's the issue. Because they can't just come in using their body and that connection. Because listen, everybody knows past life karmic mates, like there's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of passion. We wouldn't stick around, okay? No one would volunteer to be in this shit. I mean, if there wasn't that. But that's the only thing that's there, at this point. So again, but this is the person is not going to get away with that because they've done so much shit in the connection that you're like, I see it. And now that, like I said, that's why this person's mad. Because it's like, well, you weren't supposed to see that. You weren't supposed to use your voice. You weren't supposed to tell me anything. Now this person's stuck in their inner child healing and felt the same way that they grew up when they were rejected. Remember, they didn't start off as the alcoholic, uh, cheating person. They grew up with that. They inherited that. They started off as the abused child. They just grew up into that, where it's all about this. But the problem is that this person feels inadequate. So again, they're going to use their body, they're going to use that sex to like, to really work it and to build that connection, but they're broken underneath. And because they feel inadequate, they're going to make you feel inadequate. And what you're going to see is they're going to take so many risks to create that cortisol, that that high, to get that endorphins. Because again, this is this person. It's it's things are too calm. Things are too calm. It's too boring. Let me sabotage myself. Let me take the risk because I'm addicted to the hormones that get released. And then what you see again is that there's never any forgiveness. You're just supposed to take the person back. You're not supposed to pay attention to anything that they do. Not a damn thing. Just look the other way. Everything's fine the next day. So what if they passed out and you had to pick them up? So what if they got arrested and you had to get them out of jail and you had to use your money to get them out of jail? So what? That's what you're there for. And if you love me, you'll do it. Yeah. Projecting, as I said before, because what's underneath is empty because we are never our trauma. That is not what we are. We're not our trauma. This person thinks that they're their trauma, so they create illusions and it's all to protect their self-image. So every time you say something and being that you're not talking to them right now, they're angry because you have shattered their self-image. And really, what's underneath it is fear. There's only two energies, love and fear. So this person is like has a lot of anxiety because they know that they're the person that sabotaged the connection. And that hurts. And that makes them feel like a loser. And that makes them feel like there's something wrong with them. That makes them feel like they're not good enough. That makes them feel shame. And that's the energy that they grew up in. That's that karma. But how do they really feel? I'm afraid of losing you. unhealthy attachments, and that could be drugs, alcohol. It's again identity, people that'll clean up their mess. So little cheerleading crew in the back, whether it's girl, guy, doesn't matter. Rah rah, you're doing great. All those placeholders, because that's all that they are, those people that are in the inbox, just a bunch of placeholders, you know so that this person doesn't have to really look at themselves. It's just another way of avoiding intimacy because intimacy makes that person dive deep and have to, again, feel. And who the hell wants to feel when you're fragmented? I am faced with the constant reminders of you, of course, because they love you. And so again, it's like everybody's name's your name. They go to the deli, and if your name is Sarah or Karen or whatever it is, that's the name. Karen, come out here with the soda bottles. Or if it's a guy, Thomas, bring out the waffles. Everywhere where they go, they turn on the TV. Now back to you, Karen. I mean, it's like they're like, what the fuck? It's like I can't get away from it. And it's because you connect to love, the love that's still very much inside of them. Again, God's inside of the most fragmented people too. Remember, God displays its glory through the most broken. So, I mean, but this person needs to do a little bit of the work. They're not doing nothing. They're just sitting around, you know, being lazy. They gave up. I don't know what to do. They're stuck in stupid. That's what happens when we go into survival mode. And so you're not seeing much, as I said, but they have feelings. I wish I could give you more. They feel like, again, how am I going to fix? I can't fix this. I don't have enough to give. I don't have enough to give. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Which, again, if there's really love there, money has no energy. It's what the person gives of themselves. And that's the thing. But that would create intimacy. That would create depth there now, wouldn't it? I'm done playing games. Well, they always say that. But when they get to the bottom of the, roller coaster, it's a crash and burn type of thing. It's not as nice as a roller coaster. The roller coaster, we actually level out. Hopefully, if we're at a good place. We don't want to go to those chintzy circus places, but I'm talking about like if it's a decent place, we're going to wind up level. But this person normally crashes and burns like the phoenix, but they to rise from the ashes. But then what happens is they do the whole process over and over again. Now, we all tend to have moments, but this person just didn't mean what they said, and you do make them nervous because again, they have feelings for you, and you know, they don't really feel that strong about themselves, and so if they can't hide behind like the material or create that illusion, they're afraid that you won't like them. But they dream of you if you want to know. They really do have feelings. But the problem is that, the repetitive cycles took your rose-colored glasses right the fuck off. And that's the problem, because you're like, well, I'm not sure I see you the same way. And you know what? They're working up the courage to contact you now that you see it all. This person knows already. They have unwillingly sabotaged the connection. They know it because there's a telepathic bond. So again, it's not like they weren't a soulmate. They are. They can feel everything. But this person is eventually going to talk to you, even if it's just to, say that they're making changes for the better now, and that, you're still on their mind. You're the first person that they think about, but but really what they would want to really tell you is that they wish that you knew how grateful that they are to have met you because you didn't put up with their shit. And that's making them look at their life finally. Like, I feel like this person normally fucks up their life and then they just run to somebody else. And they were planning on running right to you. And you were like, oh, not today, Satan. Oh, no, we can't do that. Not today. So they are going to reach out to you because, like I said, your soulmate. It's not like there wasn't love. It's just, when a person's hurt, it's like, it's not that they don't get mad. They get very mad. Um, but they don't stay mad. Like you said, that's why this person has to suppress their emotions. Again, because they don't want to feel that. They're not comfortable being that way. They don't like themselves and because of their life. And trauma does that. So, unfortunately, we're not the people that puts the trauma onto us, but we are in charge of our healing because we will isolate from every single person and not just isolate, people then will also not engage with us because they won't trust us. And so then when people don't trust, then we really feel like, again, that we can't trust ourselves, first of all, because that fulfills that self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, it always happens. Well, it always happens because you're the main, you're the common denominator in every single equation here, and you don't pay attention. But again, because a person's not awake. So it goes back to that detachment and disassociation where they're just not awake. They need to be told. So it's almost like you're dealing with like a child. So that's why they act really immature. And again, child is someone that's always gonna like try to, push that envelope, take risks until eventually, children are like, oh, I did that once, I'm not doing it again. Why? Because there were consequences. But that goes also back to the fact that this person grew up in a very toxic environment where shit would go down and then everyone would act like nothing happened, like there were never any consequences. And that meant that when this person started to grow up and adapt all the same habits, because they didn't just become like this, they've been like this, means that their mommy or daddy did not discipline because, hey, they were too much in survival mode and they were just taught not to kind of look the other way. And so there was never any consequences. And because you giving this person consequences, actually you are parenting this person. You're giving them tough love. And I mean, because there's still this spiritual connection. And that you just can't help. Because hey, there's God part of self, and God says you gotta forgive. That's number one law. You gotta do it. It's like whether you want to or not. Yes, yes, yes. We know, we know, we know, we know. You were brought up, Spirit says, where you were oppressed. And you were taught really not to love yourself either. And you also have trauma because you grew up in abuse, obviously. That's why you attracted this person into your life. There was no security, there was no safety. So you had to learn how to nurture yourself because you were not nurtured. These are your inner child wounds. So you're busy creating your life. This is why, again, this person is rageful, but you were rageful for a long time because you weren't allowed to create anything because you were also in survival mode. So you were suppressed. And so you saw this person, I feel like, and you were like, oh no, I'm not going back to my childhood. No, thank you. I will not be suppressed. If you don't nurture me, then you're not the person for me because I need to be nurtured. I need to be with someone that loves me because I've already been through abused. So again, this is the abuse card, which means that I've been mad also for a long time in my life because of this trauma of being oppressed. Look at this. The person has their foot on my head. Also, it wasn't just you that you grew up in trauma. I grew up in trauma too. And I had to learn how to love myself. And I'm giving myself this safety and the security because I didn't grow up with that. And picking you You said that wouldn't happen for me. So you again said, I'm not going to use this empty space, which is time, right? There's only so much time, energy, focus, and money that we have. So I'm going to use this time to grow myself, create myself. And guess what? You're going to have enemies from that. Fuck them. Fuck them. It's like you're not allowed. You're not allowed. Are you supposed to do something for them? Are you supposed to walk less than because you're going to ruffle feathers? Ruffle the fucking feathers. You'll attract exactly who you're supposed to when you're true to yourself. Love yourself. Never forget that. Always be true to yourself, especially if you came from this type of energy where you were abused and traumatized. Again, you had to do your healing. You're doing it. You did it. This person didn't. They had the opportunity to step it up. That's why there was this very strong connection. But they hadn't healed enough. They weren't where you were, and they didn't want to. And they didn't want to in the beginning. And so that's their karma. That's why they're mad. But they're hurt now because they're like, there was really a connection here. I fucked it up. And that's why the dynamic is like, oh, it's heartbreaking because it's like, hey, this could have worked. This should have worked. But trauma does that. People don't choose to be that way. People don't want to be hated or disliked. No one says, yeah, you know what would be a great idea today? That everybody hate me. I love that idea. That's a good idea. No, no one says that. Everybody has a desire, a want, a need to be loved. The whole point of trauma is separation from love. But understand this, you're never separate from love because God's inside of you as a gift of the Holy Spirit. So you're never separate from love, ever. You are, again, are an extension of it. So anytime someone makes you feel less than, not good enough, not worthy, and there's going to be people for no reason. Oh, you married my daddy. You worked for the business, you getting money, you doing this, judging. Fuck you all. People have problems, because they're looking into other people's gardens and not growing their own fucking flowers. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have did this. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have bought that dress that makes you look too fat. You shouldn't. Everybody has an opinion because opinions are like assholes. So be true to yourself. Always be true to yourself. Love yourself. You must. Otherwise, you'll relive that trauma. You'll relive that trauma and you'll relive it just like this person. And then they'll wind up dying and getting cancer. Because people that feel inadequate, people that feel not good enough, people that feel unworthy, they get sick. And you know why? Because we're an energy being, and the energy that we are supposed to be breathing in, the universe's energy, is made up of prana. Okay? And that prana, another word for it, is spirit. It's God. It's ubiquitous. It has to be able to flow through us. It's what gives us life. It's what allows us to have spiritual sovereignty, to create again our own heaven on earth. That's why we're here, to be the expressions of love, that there's no separation. So anytime you meet a person that makes you feel less than, tell them to fuck themselves because they have the power to damage your life if you stay around them long enough. It's like a cancer, and you have to feel it. You have to feel it, and you have to love yourself enough. You have to love yourself enough. This person doesn't love themselves. So it's again, so even though this is a heartbreaking story, it really is a heartbreaking story. you have to forgive this person because don't be with this person, but you got to forgive them because they don't know any better. And wasn't that the words that Jesus Christ said on the cross right before they crucified him? When God said, "Do you want to come home? Because I guess it's time to come home because you're not looking so good up on that cross." And God was mad. It was like God was really mad because that was his son. So, you know, there's consequences, and we're living those consequences. And when we get born into karmic families like this, we're living out that karma. So, understand why things happen. We have to understand. Otherwise, we wouldn't learn that we're not separate from our creator. We wouldn't realize that we're loved beyond measure. And it's really important. You got to really know that you're loved beyond measure. You're not here by mistake. You're here by design, God's design. Now, whatever religion, that happens to be my religion. But if we go into every single religion, by the way, you would know a deity and there would be a story. And in the stories, you'd see the powerful traits of love. You'd see perseverance, you'd see power, you'd see it. Now, it didn't mean that God didn't get angry and didn't do like crazy ass shit. It did. I mean, the locusts and the floods and the fires and all that shit, that was crazy. I mean, because, you know, God gets angry. The universe, like we have to be in alignment with the laws of love, the laws of God, the laws of the universe, and laws of nature. It's all the same thing. And so again, we see why this happens. I'm just telling the story from the path that I know, but I know that there's many different paths, and I don't disrespect anyone's path. But I also know that every single religion teaches love, teaches forgiveness, teaches that. And we also know that when any of those laws across, we also see the ugly side of the gods and the important people that were in scripture. We saw that they got angry. They were human, they were spiritual beings having human experiences, but nevertheless, a human experience is anger, when you're feeling disrespected and dishonored. We have to come to a time and understand, why is this happening? Without the understanding, we can't apply the tools. We don't even want to. What for? But if you know that you can change your life, you want to. So, and how can I change? Well, right here, nurture the light within you. Again, that's your hobbies, your interests, your passions, the things that stir up love and light and joy and passion and all those emotions. That's what you have to do. You have to do that. This isn't a joke. It's all about loving yourself. Spirit says, that's what I want to see here. You attract that person, that meathead, whoever the heck they were, and that's the family that you came from. You better learn how to love yourself. And I'm not going to go into it because I just lectured you for 10 minutes on it. This was to help you transform, to help you see yourself differently. Because now you had something to compare to. Hey, wait a minute, I used to have the same behaviorisms and how does that person might have had. Maybe not to the extent, but really there's only two energies, love and fear. And, if, our creator is judging, he's going to say, well, you were more to the other side of that line, just so that you know. It's like because you were taught, because you didn't love yourself. And your actions were in alignment with that because you gave time to someone that, come on, they weren't worth it. So it was to see beyond your immediate fears, because now you got wisdom. So you did face your fears. What if I ever wind up getting to like somebody that like is gonna hurt me? or, because you grew up that way, traumatized. What if I can't trust? Spirit says you can trust discernment. You have discernment. Now it's time for you to listen to your soul's calling. Leave this shit people behind. It's like, live your life, be passionate, be joyful, be happy, you know, and let the haters hate. But understand the haters better watch it because they'll wind up getting sick. you know? You'll be taking up space in their mind, and they'll get mad, but that anger doesn't do anything to you. It does to them. So if they're smart, they're just gonna maybe not watch you so close. It's all about you finding your real tribe because there is support out there for you, even if your family's not. Even if, this person's not going to be there, it doesn't matter. You have support and a lot of it, a ton of it, a ton, so much, you know. There are infinite possibilities for you, darling. You know why? Because the child that survives thrives. That's why. Because there's boundless opportunities arise when you release fear. And once you get the shit out of your life, well, you take the garbage out. That's what you got to do. Otherwise, the house stinks. You got to take the garbage out. So once you take the garbage out and the garbage truck comes, there's nothing left but infinite possibilities for you. And it's to remember to be kind and loving and have forgiveness, even if they don't deserve it, because you're doing it for you more than you're doing it for them. Remember, it goes both ways. They watch you and you get angry, you're holding on to that poison. They're holding on to that poison. You do the same, you're going to hold on to the poison. Don't. It would be wonderful if everyone could work things out, but a lot of times people don't want to do that. They'll do it if, you're gonna like take the low end, the short stick. And you might have been used to doing that to keep the peace. That's a survival mechanism. Be smart. Don't keep the peace. Stir things up. And we leave it off with one more message, which is inner beauty. And of course, how I wouldn't know that. Spirit says, open your eyes of your heart and direct your gaze to the light within every being, even the toxic ones, Spirit's saying. Even the ones that hate you, that don't want to even cheer you on, that doesn't matter. Understand personality and physical appearance are in the image of man. I feel like I have something on my lips. Sorry. The image of man, beauty and goodness are in the image of God. And again, God is love. Here we go. So Spirit says it's all about forgiveness. Remember that. It's like, you have to forgive. And that's why you got this person too, because maybe you're like, no, I'm still angry at the trauma that I grew up with that parent, and I've tried to forgive, but my life is still fucked up, in certain areas. So I'm not really want to forgive. And look, I have all these people coming into my life, and Spirit says that's a reality that you can choose to look. But you're not going to succeed, and it's only going to be toxic. Let it go. And again, focus on the good in every being, regardless of who they are. Even if they don't deserve it, it's the ones that don't deserve it that you actually get some karma reward points for. Because God says, well, I saw that shit too, like they definitely did not deserve any brownie points. But being that you forgave, well, it's again, you get karma reward points. And know that again, everybody's made in the image of God. We're all born into families and societies. We inherit collective karma. We inherit family karma. So we have to look and see what was going on at the time that your family was born into. Like what happened? What happened during that time? we have form habits and behaviorisms to counteract that imbalance that we feel, that emptiness, that pain. But it's all about love. We have to get ourselves back to that. And we can only do that just by extending our love out. And if your glass is full, it will not matter if people take your cup and they pour it out and then they step on the glass like a Jewish wedding. It won't matter. Spirit says again, that will be on them. It will not be on you. I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. You let me know how you resonated. I love you guys. And leave in the comments, you know, what was childhood like? Do you resonate? And maybe what karmic themes do you want me to look at? All right. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, my dog wants to say hello. Miami says goodbye. Goodbye. Mwah. And we got Dominic here, but he's too fat to climb up, but he is here. And they want to go out for a walk now. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.